y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have a Bible journal process video for you. I am using a new set from Kelly Bangs and Illustrated Faith called Solomon the Life Coach, which is just the most hilarious title, I think, but it is so cute. So it's all of these little notes that are Proverbs from Solomon, things that we take to heart. I love it how it's just, jotted out on a little note, something that your mom might leave you, a little note from a loved one. I think they are so sweet. So you have all of those with a bunch of different proverbs printed out, a few pieces of ephemera right here with our mild liners. So cute. Love the little Polaroids. And then some blank notes that are perfect for adding in maybe to a faith journal, something like that. So I think these are absolutely adorable pages. Look at how cute with the binder clips and the little faux washi tape. And then this cutie with all the mild liners and the different verses on it. Love this printable set. So I'm going to be using this in my Bible today. I'm going to be documenting right at the beginning of Proverbs, starting with this large piece that is documenting the beginning of Proverbs as well. All right, I will put you all on fast forward. I'll make sure to list everything that I use down below in case you're wanting to check it out. Otherwise, let's go. Okay, I'm going to start out by trimming out a few of these pieces. I've definitely sped this up a whole lot. I had a few people ask me why sometimes I fussy cut and sometimes I machine cut. And it kind of depends on what I'm going to do with the set. So in this particular case, I knew that I didn't need really clear cuts, if that makes sense, because I wanted it to be a little bit messy. So fussy cutting would work out just fine. And it wasn't really intricate pictures that I thought would be difficult to cut out. If it's going to be some more involved shapes, then generally I will opt to go to my cutting machine, like my Cricut or my Silhouette. And with pretty simple shapes like these little pieces of paper, I figured fussy cutting would be just as fast. So I kind of try to judge how much time I think it'll take me to do the actual fussy cutting, because it does take time to create the cut files to cut it on the machine. So, I just kind of judge it by each set depending on how I'm going to use the set and what shapes and things are in the set. Okay, so my vision for this page is kind of a collection of random notes that you might be taking on for like a class. And so this is the beginning of Proverbs where I am noting all of these pieces. And I want it to be filled with like highlighters and underlining and notes taped here and there, just like you would do if you were studying for a class or reading a really good book, because of course that's what Proverbs is really like a class in how to live. It is full of tons of advice. And so I want this collection of pieces of paper up at the top. And what I'm going to do is put them together as tip-ins. So you'll be able to flip them up and read, of course, the information underneath, but you'll get that feeling that you've taped a bunch of Post-it notes into your book. So I love that idea. I am using some washi tape that I actually got as a member of Wild University, which happens to be a planner class that I'm in, full of all kinds of professional development or personal development classes. And as a founding member, they sent me a care package or gift package, I guess a swag bag, you might call it. And it had this really cute composition notebook washi tape, which I feel like is perfect for this set because I want it to feel like a school set. I also knew that I wanted to use my mild liners a lot in this spread because, of course, there are mild liners in some of the ephemera pieces that Kelly illustrated. And so I'm using a stencil. I'm not sure where this one is from. I think it's a Dilutions stencil. If I can find it at scrapbook.com, I will link it below. But this is a stencil that I've had forever. And I'm just using the finer tip of my mild liners. And I'm tracing some of the arrows out on my page, kind of going in rainbow order. And the idea being that it would be pointing to all of the great advice that Solomon is giving you. And then this, of course, is just representative. I'm using the piece that does have the beginning of Proverbs in it, but also I just picked out a few of my favorite Proverbs that she had quoted on her little pieces of note paper. And this is just kind of an introduction to the book, if that makes sense. I love the book of Proverbs. I love studying it. Right now, my church is also studying Ecclesiastes, so I feel like I'm getting a lot of Solomon right now, with him most likely being the author of Ecclesiastes, or at least having a heavy influence on that particular writing. So I thought Kelly's new set was so clever with Solomon the life coach, because that's really what he's trying to do. He's trying to map out how you can live a life, a holy life, a life set apart for God, and just some really practical advice. After I outlined my arrows, I did decide to go back and fill them in just because I knew this page was going to have a lot. So, my style, especially recently, has been more is more kind of style. I have just been loving filling my pages to the brim, filling all my layouts in all the different things I do, but especially in my Bible journaling, just having a ton on there. Um, it's funny how your style kind of evolves. I'd love to hear if you are a less is more person, if you are a more is more. I feel like I used to maybe hoard my supplies, and I'm in this point where I just want to use all of the things and use them all the time. And especially with these printables, you can print them over and over. So there's not really a reason to hold back. So yeah, I knew this was going to be a busy spread, and I wanted these arrows to stand out. So I went ahead and filled them in, and now I'm going to trace them with my micron pen just to add a little bit of black. So the composition tape at the top, and then eventually I'll add it to the bottom again, is really a nice pop of black. And so I wanted to make sure that the arrows stood up to that. So tracing them in black so that they pop, and then I will start putting some of the printables on the page. All right, now I'm bringing the washi tape down to the bottom just to kind of anchor the page. When I first started Bible journaling, this just reminded me, I used to outline every page with washi, like framing it with washi. I think that's one of the reasons I have so much washi tape, is because I used it all the time in the beginning. I don't use it as much anymore, but I still find myself wanting to balance top and bottom. So if I'm going to add a strip of washi to the top, then I'm most definitely going to have it at the bottom as well. And I think it works really well with this spread, and it brings that composition feel through the whole page. All right, I'm going to start to get things situated on the page. I layered these two pieces over on the left because I'm going to cover up the title of Proverbs. It's my one big complaint about the illustrating Bibles. I love them and I will continue using it, but I wish they didn't have the name of the book so big at the beginning of each chapter, because then I always have to work on covering it up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use the printables to cover it up over here. And plus, it gives me a really cute journaling spot. Again, with the outlining, just because I think it's now a theme on this page, and because this particular piece had so much white, because it was meant to look like a piece of notebook paper, I really felt like it was getting lost a little bit. So I went ahead and outlined it with that same micron pen. This was the 0.02 size, so not very thick edge, just a little bit. And now I will add this one right here. This is Proverbs 1:1 through 7. And now the layering will begin. So the idea with all of these pieces is that they'll be layered at the top, each as an individual tip-in, which sounded easy and then turned out to be a little bit more complicated than I thought, because they interact with each other, if that makes sense. So if you lift up one, it was messing with the other ones, and it was interesting. I had to work on it just a little bit. So, and I had a little bit of issue with the washi tape not wanting to stick to itself, if that makes sense. So the part at the top wasn't wanting to stick to the part at the top, so I was having to work around that. But basically what I did, what you can do to create a tip-in, is you're making a hinge. So you add washi tape on the top or the side, wherever you're wanting it to attach, and then you fold it up and then add washi tape on the other side just to make sure it's nice and secure. You don't want the washi tape hanging off the edge or else you'll have a sticky part showing. And that way the piece lifts up, you can read what's underneath it, or if you've attached it to the side, you can flip it open so you can read what is behind the card and it's still nice and secure. So the advantages of a tip-in would be that you don't have to cover up text, which is always preferable. And then it a lot of times gives you some more journaling space. So I thought it would be great as I was looking through the book of Proverbs, which is a book I come to a lot, that I could, create some notes, create little places, little tidbits where I could add some different journaling, just some thoughts on Proverbs. So I liked all of these random little miscellaneous notes, and I liked the idea of them just being kind of placed in here just like you would. I wanted it to feel like a class, like I was taking Solomon's life class. Can you imagine having Solomon as your life coach? It would be both amazing and probably super intimidating as well. So now here's where it's like getting complicated. I'm trying to make these three work together and it wasn't working, and I'm playing with washi tape and the washi tape was tearing. I was a mess. It was a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. It's what happens in class too when your supplies go awry. So getting them all secured in place, and then that's the main part right there. Getting that in will fix it all. I had one last little piece that I had cut out that I had wanted to include, but really didn't have room at the top. So I'm going to add it over on the bottom left, just as an extra little add-in for Proverbs 3:3-4. And again, I just picked some of my favorite pieces that she had done the verses for and included them just as little reminders right there at the beginning of Proverbs. I had these fun kind of turquoise paper clips in my stash that I thought would be pretty cute to include in different ways because there's turquoise in the set, adding a little bit of dimension on the page without it being crazy. And again, bringing that class feel using all of the school supplies. Gotta love all of the school supplies. All right, I have sped this up a whole bunch again because I'm cutting out a few more pieces of ephemera, some of the highlighters that I thought would be super cute. I love that I can have this bright blue highlighter that matches the bright blue arrow, so I can put those two together. I chose the mild liner, the purple one at the bottom that says Waymaker that kind of matches with the purple note that I wrote at the bottom. I love these little Polaroid pictures. I think they are just adorable and are fun pops of color. Like I said, all the things. I want all the things on the page. And then lastly, I chose a pencil for up at the top just to balance out my school supplies, because who's going to have a highlighter and who's going to have two highlighters and no pencil? Seriously, you got to have a pencil too. So adding the pieces up top, I do adhere them down with my Tombow, and then I'll go back just like I've been doing and outline the pieces. I think it just makes some of the printables pop, depending on what the printable is. If it's a specific image that I'm wanting to be really defined, I do tend to outline it. And for me in this particular page, it helps move the black color kind of around the page and balance it a little bit more. Anything that's wasn't outlined was really just kind of fading to the background. So I liked the outlining and how it worked on this particular page. So I do the outlining, and then off camera, I add a prayer over on the left that is just thanking God for the wisdom that he gave Solomon and thanking him for the way that wisdom is passed down to us through the Bible and the way it guides my life personally. And that is it for this page. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider hitting that subscribe button. I've listed all of the supplies I use down below, including this new set from Kelly Bangs, so make sure you go check it out over at the Illustrated Faith Print and Pray shop. I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.